What's up, guys? I'm here getting ready for my 23 season. Thought I'd do a little bit of a in the bag. This year I'm representing Team Thin Line Disc Golf. So figured this would be a good way to show a little bit of the product they have on the site. Excuse me. Make sure you're using code WORM TLDG10 for 10% off on thinlinediscgolf.com. So start this off. Good place is going to be. Let's start with the putters. This year shouldn't be much of a surprise. I'm putting with classic blend Wardens. I like the black ones. I don't know why, but Warden has been a really good, pretty neutral to straight putter for me. I love having a beadless putter for the most part. Very rarely will you ever see me putt with a beaded putter. Wardens just fit the bag for me perfectly. We're gonna go into some throwing putters real quick. I got three primary throwing putters. First one, my understable throwing putter, is I'm throwing an Origio Maiden from Westside Disc. This one has been in the bag for quite a few years. It is beat up, great hyzer flip, late fade. Don't really have to worry about it coming over too much. Second one I got is I'm throwing the Josef Berg signature K3 Glow Berg. Berg do Berg things. I'm sure if you've ever played around with me and I'm throwing a Berg, you've heard me say that once or twice. Bergs are amazing, overstable. It's like Velcro. You just throw it, it hits the ground and it stops. You don't have to worry about too much ground play. My last throwing putter that I'm playing around with still is a Clash Disc Butter in the Steady Plastic. This thing is got more glide than my Berg, but still pretty overstable. I can yeet this one out there for the most part. I've been playing around with it. It's been doing great things, so there's a good chance this one will be staying into my bags. Let's go into the mid-range. Off season, I've been really messing around with some new mid-ranges, just trying to get that whole mid-range lined up, sorted. So we'll pull out three real quick here. I throw Dynamics Disc Bounty. That is my primary understable mid-range hyzer flip through the woods, laser beam. This one, if you need understable, that's the way to go. Also messing around with a Clash Disc Berry, once again in that Steady Plastic. Flight numbers on this one are 55 -11. For me, this has been a just dead shoot, slight fade at the end. This thing is straight laser beaming it. Last my neutral mid-range, just to say, is I'm throwing a Lone Star Disc Texas Ranger in the Alpha Plastic. This one's got some fade on it, but it won't flip over, still comes back. Good neutral throwing mid-range. Really like this one. What else do I got in here? I've had a Gatekeeper in the bag for as long as I've been playing disc golf. This one, I don't have to worry about it going too far. When I need to be able to control it mid-range, I'm grabbing a Gatekeeper for the most part. This one's got the GBO stamp, so looks a little weird. Next is a Verdict. I love a Verdict, especially when it gets windy. Out here in Germany, around the Spangolm area, our course, it's very windy, so I need something I can put some power behind and not have to worry about it flipping over. Verdict is doing that for me. Also, shout out to Dark Ace Apparel. Thanks for the hookup, guys. And then my last mid-range, my utility mid-range, as I like to call this one, I have a Team Prototype Anvil. This one is the early runs of anvils are extremely flat, not so much dome. Just makes them even more overstable. This one, utility mid-range, if I'm questioning the wind, I'm just going anvil with it and going from there. Let's get into some fairways. Discmania C-Line FD. This one doesn't need any introduction. If you know what an FD is amazing. I'll throw this in a beginner's hand, an expert player's hand. Get them to throw them flat, got some turn, they're coming back. It's an FD. I'm throwing a Dynamic Disc Evader too. This one I can really get some power behind. Just watch it. It'll hold a hyzer really well for me. get some distance on it. It's a go-to fairway for me when I need it, especially when I'm sitting around that 300, 325 foot range. I'm grabbing an Innovator, hands down. New one in the bag I've been messing around with, Clash Disc Cookie. This to me is like my Evader, but more overstable. Now, when it gets windy out there and I'm worried about my Evader slipping over, I'm going with the Cookie. This thing is holding up to the wind pretty dang well, and out here in Germany right now, especially early season, it is getting windy, and Cookie has been putting in work for me. I've got one relatively understable fairway. This is a Hybrid X Stag from Westside Disc. The Hybrid X ones are a little more stiff, still got some dome. A normal Stag is pretty turnover. The Hybrid X ones, you plop them up on some hyzer, they'll flip up, maybe give you just a baby turn, but they're gonna fade back. This one was money for me back 21 Belgian Open, playing through the woods, was able just to nail some laser beams down some of those tight fairways over at Belgian Open. You're gonna have to excuse me, my neighbors are moving some equipment with their tractor, so that's what that background noise is. Still kind of into that fairway control driver slots. I've got an Orbit Ricky Felon. These ones are some of the least stable Felons I've ever had, but if you know what a Felon does, that Eric Oakley has done enough for the Felon, I believe, but I'll throw a Orbit Felon when I need something to get out there but still fade. And of course, if you're gonna have an understable Felon, you have to have an overstable Felon. This one I got sent from Dark Ace Apparel again. Thanks guys, awesome stamp on this one. This is my overstable Felon. This one I don't have to worry about, just put it out there, it's going left, hands down. Another new one that I'm kind of playing around with is I'm throwing a Lone Star Disc Curl in the Bravo plastic. This one's been a tailwind bomber. This one, if I got a tailwind and I'll just yeet this one out there. Good turn on it, it's coming back. It's kind of a replacement for that first run Grace I lost a couple weeks ago. Going into the control drivers, I've got two control drivers to say. I throw a prototype Sergeant from Dynamic Disc. This one has been in the bag probably now for about 3 years, starting to lose some of its stability, but I'm loving it because I'm getting it to kind of turn a little bit, now come back. This one, once you get a Sergeant beat in, they'll get out there for sure. And then I have a Hybrid Sergeant. This one's the more overstable one for when I'm afraid the proto is going to flip in the wind. This one was a custom die by one of my friends. Thanks, Roma. Going into my drivers for the 23 season. Castoplast Gold. This one, it's kind of like a destroyer, kind of not a destroyer. I hate to say that, but this one is probably my favorite Castoplast driver I've ever thrown. You can get some power behind it. It will give you a little turn. You don't have to worry about it fit or complete like turnover on you. It's gonna be, this one I've started throwing more when my rives aren't quite cutting her on some given days. Speaking of rives, I bag 3 rives. I've got one, my blue one is my least stable rive. This one I can throw on some ante, it's gonna turn on me, come back. I've got my medium stability rive, which is a normal Grand plastic rive. This one you can just throw out, not have to worry about it. And then I have an Orbit rive, which has been my headwind. I need to put something out there and just not worry. Also, one of my go-to forehand discs has been this one for sure. But that's my 2023 in the bag. A lot of these plastics, a lot of the Trilogy plastic is available on thinlinedisc.com. Once again, use code WORM, TLDG10 for 10% off your order. It also helps me out quite a bit here for the 23 season. Thanks, guys.